go time.
The boys are back. That's right, Florida Man Sports is here with another exciting episode. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. This is Florida Man Sports.
Welcome back to Florida Man Sports.
Let's go.
Now, you wanted the best, you got the best. Jonny, Chris here for another week of Florida Man Sports. Now, before we get into all the show and tell you everything that's going to happen today, please like and share the video. If you want to listen to this, do a podcast format. We're available on all platforms. We started something new. We have a web page. The web page there listed right there. You see it right there. Please, if you want to, if you like to, go ahead and click on that. There, you click the microphone. From that microphone, you can leave a voicemail, have any questions, comments. Maybe you don't like one of our takes. Maybe you do like one of our takes. Maybe you have a question on how much makeup Chris actually wears. Whatever you guys want, you guys can more
Maybe
than
you're
welcome.
questioning why Johnny's wearing a dress shirt with a cap.
It's because some of us have style, but you can do whatever you like on there. But we're going to try to incorporate you, the listeners, to the show on a weekly basis. We're going to go ahead and pick about three.
We're going to bring you in.
We're going to about three or four calls. We'll go ahead and incorporate there. Maybe we'll do a live, Chris. Maybe we won't see it beforehand. We'll see. But we want to incorporate the listeners to the show there. But
let's go.
Now, in this show, obviously, we're going to go ahead and discuss the NBA playoffs. So last week, that was an exciting week. We're going to actually recap some baseball. We haven't talked baseball in a while, Chris. We're just going to go ahead and recap what's going on with the division leaders, any surprises there going on in Major League Baseball. But we start the show off, Chris, with the two most exciting words in sports. That's Game 7.
Game 7.
Game 7, Chris, between the Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks. What a great series, great game that was. The Pacers outlasted the Knicks in Game 7, just like I said they would. What's your take on that game, Chris?
Nobody wants to hear you like I said they would. Like, he does this every time. Like, just there's a thing as being humble. Humble pie. You need some, my friend. Okay. Now, as far as this series goes, this is going to go down, Johnny, as the Brunson series.
Brunson series.
Yeah, because this kid, from here on out, the Knicks are going to build around this kid, right? This is his team. So this is the Brunson series. And here's also why. The guy has to drop 40 points per game, Cinco, for them to win. And the times that he doesn't, they lose. That's really the story in this series. Now, I do want to add, too, he drops 40 per game. He gets hurt. He breaks his hand. And breaking his hand in the Knicks losing, isn't that the whole story for this Knicks team? Yeah. Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Bojan Bondovic. I know I butchered his name, but it's okay. They all get, they don't play in this series. And so an injury riddled team loses Game 7. That's really no surprise for me, Johnny. As far as the Pacers.
What do you mean it's not a surprise for you? I was telling you that if the Knicks needed to win in 6 because they're injury depleted.
Okay,
if they don't win in 6, they're not winning Game 7.
Okay, but again, they got to Game 7 and they lost.
Picked the Pacers.
Pacers, 67%. Excuse me. I was going to let you slide. Pacers, 67% from field goal percentage, NBA playoff record, 54% from 3. You're not going to, a team's going to shoot 54% from 3. You're taking an L, right? And so, you've got the first conference finals in 10 years for the Pacers. They continue to prove that fast-paced offensive game wins games, which is good for them. And then last thing I'll say about this series overall, Johnny, this is the 9th youngest team in the NBA. 9th youngest team going to the Eastern Conference Finals. The best part of this series, the best part of this game, Johnny, was Halliburton's shirt at the end, Reggie Miller.
Nah,
that was savage. That was savage.
No. That hoodie that showed the
awesome.
Iconic, choke sign by Reggie Miller when he did what he did to the
awesome.
Knicks. No, what would have been awesome. Man, you're going to do that. Do it before the game. Show up before Game 7 with that on. You got my respect.
But he's a young guy. He's a young dude.
You rock it after you win? Come on, man.
No, because look, in NFL terms, you don't want to do that. You don't want to add fire, right? If he wears it before, maybe they see it as a sign of disrespect. So I get it.
Demand
How'd you see the series?
No, I mean, the series is how you guys have been listening. You know exactly how I saw it. And ultimately, the Knicks have always been all playoff and even the regular season towards the end injury prone, and the injuries really affected them. That's no surprise coming into this series. Still, with that injury depleted roster, I still had them winning this series in 7, the Knicks. But what happened? What happened after Game 4?
You flip-flop.
No, OG gets hurt. Hart gets hurt. And at that point, it's like, no, it's too much. It's too much to overcome. It wasn't going to happen. The Knicks had a shot. They needed to win in 6. And they said if it goes Game 7, it's not going to be enough. They're going to be running on fumes. It wasn't going to work, and that's what happened. And then on top of that, Brunson breaks his hand in the third quarter. And then you knew at that point, forget it. It's just, it's done. It's not good. There's no chance for the Knicks to come back after Brunson went down. Like you said, come on, Indiana showed up. They shot 67% NBA record. In the first half, they shot 76%. 3 out of their 4 shots were going in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's nothing the Knicks could have done with the Pacers showing up the way they did in Game 7. But still, great season for the Knicks. Give you props. Good job. You overachieved. The Knicks really, with that team, Brunson-led team. Randall, he had his moments in regular season, but ultimately Brunson's-led team. Really, it's number 2 seed, Chris. Number 2 seed. Yeah. Nobody saw it coming. I mean, I called it earlier in the regular season that I see them as maybe number 2, maybe get into the Eastern Conference Finals, because I saw how they gelled and exactly, how they worked as a team. But this offseason, Chris, what do the Knicks do? Are they staying, picking up some key role players, or are they going for the home run? Are they going for one of the big shots? They're going to go for a Durant, you think? Are they going to go for a Mitchell? Are they maybe in the Hawks go for Young or Murray? Do you think they're going to go for the home run or just pick up role players?
I think the first thing they're going to do, obviously besides getting healthy, I think this is going to be the team that is looking for that third piece. I think it's fair to say it's Randall, right? Randall's part of that there, and they're going to look for that third piece by any means necessary. It's not going to be someone in the draft. We have a weak draft this year, so it's definitely going to be a third piece that's going to complement Brunson, that's going to complement Randall. So to me, that's like what, a small forward? So who's a small forward is the question that they can trade for or sign, because again, it's going to be a cap strong season for them. So they can do it.
Dude, they have so many draft picks. The Knicks have so many draft picks to work with. I think they should make a move for Murray from the Hawks. Murray will make Mitchell is a home run. Mitchell's really, but he's not going to complement Brunson.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What would you say?
I still think Murray from the Hawks is a move. People have talked about, like even Young complimented the backcourt. Like, no, it's.
I'll do you one better, Johnny. How about Paul George?
Paul George could work.
That would be an excellent compliment.
He's a free agent, older guy, so Paul George is a good option
probably
there.
Like some sign and trade because of cap reasons.
But how's he going to play with Randall? How that's going to work? But we'll see. Yeah. The Knicks. Salute to you. We know. How the Eastern Conference Finals now, Chris, is going to look like.
Sure.
The Indiana Pacers, they're facing the juggernaut of the Boston Celtics. Okay, we got a preview here. Who you got in the series?
Yeah. So let me paint the picture for us, folks here. Florida Man Sports. You got the Indiana Pacers 8-5 playoff record going against the number 1 seed Boston Celtics 8-2 record. And let's take a look, Johnny, at how they got here. The Pacers. I hate to take anything away from a young team. Again, I'm a diehard Magic fan, but these are the facts. They beat an injured Milwaukee team. Okay. Right? Tell me I'm wrong. Right? Midway through the season, they got a new coach. No Giannis, right? Then they take a completely decimated Knicks team, as we just saw, and they win this series. So again, this is going to be the Pacers' first real playoff series in my mind, Johnny. Like, I give them credit. I don't want to take away anything from the youngest team, one of the youngest teams in the NBA. But the NBA should be excited about this. You don't want, did you want to see a hurt Knicks team against Boston? I don't think anybody wants to see that. So this series is going to be exciting. You've got a healthy Pacers team versus a pretty healthy Boston team. You've got Porzingis, who's going to be day to day, so he's going to play in this series, just not this game. So my thoughts for this series, Johnny. This is your opportunity, Indiana. If you're going to show anything, I see this being a 5-6 game Boston series win. And if they're going to do anything, Johnny, if there's any chance for this team to somehow win, they're going to have to do what Miami did game 1, and that is steal game 1. You don't steal game 1, you don't catch them flat-footed, this series is going to be Boston's to run with.
The series isn't going to be as easy as some people predict. You're saying that, but remember the Pacers were down 0-2. Pacers lost their first 2 against the Knicks. They still came back and won it.
An injured Knicks team. That's my point.
I get it. But we have an injured Boston team. Porzingis is incredibly important to this Boston Celtics team. This Boston Celtics team doesn't look like the Celtics in the regular season. They don't. Porzingis, who's coming back from that calf injury, when he does come back in this series, he ain't going to be 100%. That calf injury is no joke. And especially coming into the pace of play in the NBA playoffs and all that strain you put on the calf, I'm telling you right now that, yes, I'm not going to go crazy and say that the Pacers are winning this series.
Oh, you are a flip-flopper.
Boston is going to win the series, but I see it as a 6 or 7 game series.
No.
I can see Indiana maybe pushing them all the way to 7 games. Yeah. But at Porzingis' injury, man, it's difficult.
See, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. Okay, we talked a little bit about Indiana and how they got there. Look at Boston, right? Boston plays a team that has a Butler who was hurt. But Johnny, I think we both agree they were going to win that series no matter what. Healthy Butler or not, everybody took Boston. Fair? Okay. Then what happens? Then they play Cleveland. Everyone out there knows, Johnny, that they should have played Orlando. Had they have played Orlando, it would have been a better competitive series.
Everybody doesn't know that.
No, they do. They do, because Orlando would have matched better. And if Orlando would have matched, they would have given them a better competition than Cleveland did. And we saw how that series was. And this is why I got to say one last shout out to Orlando. All right, I'm done with that. So that's my point to you folks, that Boston, instead of playing Orlando and having some type of competition, they played Cleveland and Cleveland took 1 game and they took care of them. And so what my point where I was going with this is this. They're purposely, Johnny, I disagree with you. Porzingis is ready. He could play now if they needed him to. They just haven't needed him. Had they played Orlando, Porzingis would have played. That's my point. And so now they're taking their time. They're seeing this Indiana Pacers team and they're like, you know what, Porzingis? Sit down this game. I know you can play. Let's just see how this goes. And that's why I don't think they're a real threat.
Well, thanks for reminding me about the Magic.
Orlando fans Magic.
Can see that Orlando we have a state-of-the-art arts and graphics department that handled this here. Look at this.
It's the Orlando Magic logo.
That's the Picasso.
One last shout out. Orlando Magic, Florida Man Sports.
So, still, Chris, you're saying this is going to be a relatively easy series for Boston.
Yes.
Do you know who the number 1 offense in the NBA was this past year?
The number 1 offense?
Offense, correct.
Probably the Pacers' fast-paced offense, I would say.
Yeah, you're saying that because you know exactly I'm leading you into it. The Pacers are the number 1 offense in the NBA. They score more points per game than anyone else in the NBA, and you're going ahead and saying like they're going to get steamrolled by
Johnny,
Boston.
This is playoff basketball.
Yeah.
This is playoff basketball.
It's playoff basketball with Boston having one of their key players injured. And Boston, you're saying that how the Pacers haven't really met anybody. Boston hasn't met anybody. I'm sorry, but the Heat without Butler isn't the Heat. And then you go ahead and the Cavaliers are the Cavaliers. All right. And so now they face the Indiana Pacers, who've been disrespected, who's been coming in. Nobody expect them. Most people expect them to lose in the first round. And then they go in the second round, they're going to lose that one. And now they're still the number 1 offense in basketball. So, no, 6-7 games. It can go anywhere, but let's be clear. Chris and Johnny here at Florida Man Sports, we're calling the Boston Celtics.
Well, we call them from the jump, Johnny. We call them
100%.
Yeah.
So we know what's going to happen. Obviously in the East, Chris, the East is spoken for. Let's go ahead and move to the West. Another great Game 7, Chris, between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Chris, now are you finally ready to apologize for just disrespecting the Minnesota Timberwolves all season, all playoff long? And here they are, dominant Game 7 win. Tell me about it.
All right, no, I'm just kidding. All right, that was the last one. So I'm not ready to apologize.
Okay.
But I am ready to congratulate. Okay, and there's a difference there. Mm-hmm. The Timberwolves overcame a 15-point halftime deficit, the largest comeback in Game 7 playoff history. Another record breaker there, Johnny. Incredible. Huge credit, though, Johnny, and I know you didn't think about this. I thought of it first.
You didn't think about it?
Huge credit goes to the 6th man of the year, Naz Reid. If you look
really?
at the yes.
You watched the game, of course.
When Karl Anthony Towns went out, 5th foul in the 4th.
Yeah, great game.
Comes up with 2 free throws, a dunk, a pass to Anthony Edwards. In that sequence, they take a 92-82 lead with 3 minutes left. So this marks the Timberwolves' first Game 7 since beating Sacramento back 20 years ago. The Nuggets became the 5th consecutive defending champion to fall. That's a big deal. Back in 2019, when Golden State actually did it, which they lost to Toronto. But again, this is the 5th consecutive that we have a new person that's going to be champion going to the finals.
To your point, it's a 5th straight year that a defending champion hasn't passed the second round.
That's what I mean, right? So it's crazy. A new champion is going to be crowned essentially, and this confirms for me, Johnny, that the young guys are taking the reins for the next 10 years. This right here for me, congratulations to the Timberwolves. This literally turns the page because Anthony Edwards and company basically proves, Johnny, that these young guys, they're here for the next 10 years. They can beat MVPs. They can beat championship teams, and they earned. And out of all the games, Western Conference, this game they earned this series win, Johnny.
Bro, that game was ridiculous. Yes, 15 points in the half, and then they were down 20 in the third. So they extended that lead, and still this team found a way to come back. And
that was incredible.
The refs were doing everything possible to go ahead and hand this win to Denver, but the Minnesota, just a dominant second half. Props to Ant-Man Anthony Edwards, who was not having a good game. This dude was not having a good
4
game
points in the first half,
all,
I think,
at all. I think he ended up going like 6 for like 20, something ridiculous. He did not have a good game, but it shows how great this guy is. He wasn't having a good game offensively, but my God, defensively, that guy was an animal. So he's not a one-trick pony. This guy went ahead and was like, okay, I'm not having it here. He still took his shots, but ultimately, Karl Anthony Towns. That dude, the Timberwolves finally learned to have him as a primary defender against Jokic. And Jokic got his points. Jokic is still the MVP, but he really forced him down the stretch. And like you said, 6th man of the year as well. Got key plays. This was a team win if I've ever seen one. The defense was insane. It was just an outstanding game to watch. In Minnesota, a well-deserved Game 7 win, well-deserved trip. And on the 20th anniversary of the last time they won a Game 7, back, Kevin Garnett and Sam Cassell, Wayne Zerbiak, that old school Minnesota team. So Minnesota Timberwolves.
It went way back with Zerbiak. Holy
dude, that was an amazing game. Props to Minnesota. But now we know, okay, Minnesota's in the Western Conference Championship. They're going to go ahead and take on the Dallas Mavericks, Chris. The Dallas Mavericks, they beat the number 1 seed in 6 games. Props to Chris, because you did call that. You called it Dallas in 6. I was like, you've lost your mind. But let me remind our listeners and people watching here that even a broken clock is right twice a day. So good job, Chris. Now we got Dallas taking on Minnesota. But before we go on, any words on the OKC and Minnesota game?
Absolutely. And listen, I'll take that even with your little back compliment. I'll take it because, look, I said this before, and there's an excellent transition, right? You got Anthony Edwards, Paulo Banchero, Tyler Halliburton, Luka, who was 24, just turned 25 years old in February. Well, talking about these young guys, when talking about turning the page, and that's what I mean, a perfect transition. Take notes, Johnny. Now we're talking about SGA, another young talent. Another great series. I know that I did call them to lose, but you know what? This team is coming back, Johnny. The Thunder, they're only going to get better. I feel like they're the first, the number 1 team in the West series wise that wasn't that good to get the number 1. I think, probably they're in the 25th percentile as far as like how good they are for a number 1 seed, in my opinion. But again, they'll be back better next year. So great series for them. Yeah. Now, as far as this series going forward, this is exciting. This is going to be a great series. My first initial thoughts, Johnny, is here's the biggest outlier. Let's look at Minnesota real quick. Anthony Edwards is averaging 25, 26 points per game. Rudy Gobert is giving you 13 rebounds, leading the team. And then you got Conley giving you 6 assists. 49-year-old Conley giving you 6 assists. Okay. Let's look at Dallas. Who's the leader in points, Johnny? Guess.
It's not Luka?
Luka. Who's the leader in rebounds?
Luka?
Yep. And who's the leader in assists?
I got to get to Irvin.
It's Luka.
It's Luka as well?
Exactly. And that is the outlier for me in this series because it's basically like, you remember like the Lakers, with the you had Johnson, right? You had, and it was like the Lakers show. This is the Luka show in the same way, right? It was Magic Johnson that was running that team. Well, now you've got Luka running this Dallas team. Okay. And so I don't know that I trust.
Please don't try to tell me that you're comparing Luka to Magic Johnson.
In the sense, and only in the sense that this is his show, like the Lake show, and that he's running the show there and so on. So that's the only.
Irvin might have something to say about that, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're leading in points, rebounds, and assists, and you're carrying your team, yes, he is. Kyrie Irving is doing a great job, but at the end of the day, it's Luka's show. And so my point is this: I don't think, Johnny, that Dallas has enough. From what I saw from Minnesota against Denver, I don't think that they have enough for one-man show, one-trick pony, like you said earlier, to do it. So Minnesota, they beat a healthy Suns team. They beat the healthy defending champs. They are the best team in the West, period. I will give them credit there. So I had the Denver Nuggets coming out of the West, but now I'm going to tell you, obviously, since Minnesota won, they're taking the reins, Johnny. Okay. So I see this maybe a 4 or 5 game series. I feel like Minnesota has beat the better teams. and they're primed for this. This is their year, based on beating Denver, to make it to the NBA Finals.
Okay, I can definitely understand that take. Before I get into my my pick for this particular series, let me just say a few words regarding that Dallas OKC 6 game. Now, outstanding win by Dallas, but I want to apologize to the NFL referees who I dog all year long. You guys are the best refs I've ever seen compared to these NBA refs here. What a joke. Listen, Dallas won it, good, but you've got to be kidding me. If you watch the game like I did, my God, we talked about this before the series, and you brought it up first to where I was like, hey, the refs are they're gonna want Luka. You know, NBA is gonna want Luka to move forward.
Of course.
So OKC has to really have some dominant wins. Anything close, you got to be really careful. So props to you for calling it beforehand, because that's exactly what happened here, guys. OKC fought back. You know, they had a lead. Dallas fought back. They have a 1-point lead with seconds left in the game, and they call a ticky-tack foul on SGA. A 3-point ticky-tack, and a playoff game, a series is decided on the free throw line. Are you kidding me? Like, what kind of nonsense is this? How do you leave it? Everybody knows in a situation like that, unless it's like an elbow to the face or something ridiculous, as a ref, you swallow that whistle.
You're not wrong, Johnny, but you also got to remember this last game. Dallas shot 51% from field goal, 47% from three.
That's why I'm saying is that Dallas did their part, because OKC was up in this game, and Dallas went ahead and battled back. So, and the same thing. Then Dallas is up. OKC battled back. It was a great game, and you're gonna sit there and allow this game, this series, to be decided at the free throw line. This is why I can't stand the fact that gambling is becoming so synonymous with sports legally now, because you get these, you raise an eyebrow. I can't remember. Do you remember the last time a series, a playoff series, or even a playoff game, but definitely a playoff series, is decided at the free throw line? Yeah,
you'd have to go back to 1984. No, I have no idea.
No, it's just something to where you don't see it because nobody wants to see it.
No.
Unless you get a call from New York, hey, what's happening here? You better make this happen. And that's what it seemed like. Whether it's true or not, perception is reality.
You got to stop with these, like,
no, dude, come on.
These NBA ref, NFL ref. We're never going to get nationally televised or reached because they're talking about making a call. They're making a call and going, only get 3 views on this one. You're killing us. You're killing me.
Chris,
you're killing me.
You can't make that call. You saw it. He got all ball and then trailed down and then nipped the hand, which, still technically is a foul.
It's a foul.
It's a ticky-tack foul. You don't call it on a game-winning shot. You don't call that in a game-winning shot unless, I get it, if he gets trucked. And I've seen players get trucked on that game-winning shot, and they don't call that. And on this, that's something to where such a great series, such a great game, and then that's how you end it, NBA. That's what you choose to end this. And so disappointed on that. So that's something that just annoys the heck out of me. But yes, Minnesota is going to, in this series with Dallas, moving forward in the Western Conference Championship, Minnesota is going to win this series in 5. What do we call a 5-game series, Chris?
I call it a gentleman's sweep. What do you call it?
Yes.
What do you call it?
A GS. I call it a GS. So it's going to be in 5. Minnesota has proven their worth. Dallas, props to Jason Kidd. Honestly, Jason Kidd outcoached this OKC team. I mean, OKC team was a better team, and still Jason Kidd made the necessary adjustments and really great game planning down the stretch. Yeah, you got a little bit of help from the officials, but at the end of the day, Jason Kidd, he's really earning that contract.
Nobody wants to see a Dallas team go to the NBA Finals and play an Indiana Pacers team. Nobody wants to see that. Everybody wants to see Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves, taking on the Boston Celtics, and that is the series that we're going to get, folks.
You're saying that, but Denver was getting ridiculous calls in that Minnesota series, but I mean, you can only tweak certain calls so much, but my God, that defense was swarming.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to get
it's like anything else. It's like in a championship fight with in boxing.
Right.
So if you're going against the champ, you don't leave it up to the judges. You better knock him out. You better go and start throwing some haymakers and knock him out, because if you're going to leave it to the judges, chances are you may lose. It'll split decisions. Always go with the champ. Go ahead and take those haymakers. But it was a great series. We know we're going East and West. It was fun.
And before we switch gears talking about baseball, John, let me ask you one last question here.
Mm-hmm.
We both picked Boston out of the East. I think we both picked Denver out of the West too in the very beginning. So I'm sticking with Boston winning the NBA Finals. Are you switching to Minnesota?
No,
what are your thoughts? Early predictions.
Right now, it's too soon for me to go ahead. Well, we both predict Boston, Minnesota. We both have that in the NBA Finals. Let me see what happens in the series before I know you asked me, because for me, I'm always concerned.
I always forget my counterpart. He's like a flip flopper. You know.
No, I want to see.
You guys know.
I want to see what Porzingis has. I want to see what he has. He's hurt. He's probably not going to come back.
He's not hurt. They're not playing him on purpose,
dude,
bro. They're resting him.
A calf strain is no joke. Calf strain is like it's the precursor to.
You're like 60 years old in the calf strain. It's not the same for Porzingis.
And any moment, my Achilles can snap like this from that. So same thing with these NBA players. So I want to see what I'm gonna get from Porzingis. And injuries happen. What happened to the Knicks? So I want to see what happens in both series and see who's healthy coming out of it, and then we'll make our prediction.
I definitely agree. I want a healthy NBA Finals for sure.
Man.
Yeah.
So we'll see once we get two healthy teams. We'll revisit this question, and we'll see how it kind of works out.
Ladies and gents, Florida Man Sports, if you're tuning into the baseball segment now that we're switching gears, always want to remind you to please like, subscribe, follow us on all platforms. Let us know how we're doing. We're just having a great time here. But switching gears here, Johnny, can you believe, man, the 2024 season, it's already a quarter of the way done in baseball. It's a quarter of the way done.
I mean, but you say already. I say it's just a quarter.
Right?
Of the way.
No. But I'm telling you, man, it's like it goes that fast. And I'm so thankful for like the NFL, NBA, Major League, all sports that keep us going here in the show, Johnny. Because it's funny. While the NBA Finals are hot and heavy, we let the first quarter kind of ride out in baseball, right? So it's kind of cool that it gets to happen that way. But now let's take a quick look, right? Let's look at the division leaders, Johnny. Before we go over the division leaders and I get your take on it, just to kind of throw it out there because it is Florida Man Sports. Mm-hmm. Tampa right now, they're at 25-24. They're a third team in the American League East. And then when you look at the National League for the Marlins, man, it was a tough stretch in the beginning. It still is. They're at 16-33. They're last in the East. But give me a level overview here, man, of division leaders.
No, well, for me, it's simple. We're referencing Tampa and the Marlins. It's exactly. The last time we talked about baseball, we just kind of gave like, hey, what are we thinking for? And what I said, well, Tampa is going to hover around 500.
You did.
They're going to hover around 500, and that's where they're at. And so the Marlins, after that horrendous decision last year by not promoting their GM, they lost Kim Ng, and
we both said that was terrible. Yeah,
and like they're where they're supposed to be, like essentially last place. It's just not a surprise to me. Our Florida team's disappointing, but it's not surprising on that. But when it comes on all the division winners, which we had talked about, before the last time we talked about baseball, everybody is where I thought there would be, no
outliers, nothing.
They're from, the Guardians are in the lead in the Central. The Yankees are in the lead in the AL East. Obviously, the Orioles are right there battling, like I said they're going to be. Mm-hmm. There's nothing really that surprising, with the exception of the NL East. NL East, the Phillies are up by 5 games.
Hey. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Continue. Go ahead.
The Phillies are up by 5 games. He's dancing, even though he picked the Braves to win the division. But he's dancing. He's what he's doing right now, guys. See what happens when you get old.
Johnny.
Let me finish. This is what happens when you get old. He forgets that he picked the Phillies last year to win the division. And they didn't, and this year didn't. Well, so go back and
please go back and watch.
And you'll
I
see
picked the Phillies this year, and you both.
He didn't.
I picked. Yes, I did. Yeah. You picked the Braves.
Of course, I did pick the Braves.
I picked the Phillies.
Guys, the baseball season is a marathon. So while the Phillies are up 5 games, at the end of the season, I expect the Braves to be on top of the NL East, as they are every single year. But the Phillies, man, Harper is a beast. That team is a solid team. Phillies are still going to be in the playoffs. They're still going to battle, and the Braves have to find a way to beat the Phillies in the playoffs, something they couldn't do last year. So that was something in reference on just the division winners. That's everything's pretty much going as I expected. Dodgers, and Ohtani doing exactly what I expected. They're the best team in baseball, dominant right now.
They did exactly what you expected.
Okay. If you go back and listen to our last baseball segment,
I know.
As super early, we did that. Not only did I expect the Dodgers to dominate their division, I picked the Dodgers in the World Series.
Yeah, but I don't think that everybody expected Johnny for Ohtani to be.
I know not everybody did. I did.
As good as he is after Tommy John surgery. Come on, man.
No. Well, one, it's similar to Tommy John. Not necessarily he had Tommy John surgery. I did because if you understand baseball like I do, Tommy John surgery or the surgery to the UCL is affecting his pitching. That's why he can't pitch this year. It's not affecting that bat, and it's clearly not affecting that bat now.
And so for Central, who did you have for Central? Because I know the Brewers right now are number one, but I'm pretty sure you picked Pittsburgh. No, I'm pretty sure you picked Pittsburgh.
No, what I had said were the Guardians, who are in first place right now in the Central.
No, in the AL though. Talking about the Brewers are number one. I thought you picked Pittsburgh for some reason.
Well, Pittsburgh's in the NL, so Pittsburgh.
NL, excuse me. Yeah.
But Pittsburgh, I had said what I said specifically about Pittsburgh is like, man, they're on a run, but. Yeah. Pittsburgh is going to come back down to earth, and they're going to go ahead.
I'm pretty sure you said they were going to be.
No, I said they're going to tumble like I expect them to.
Okay.
Even though their number one draft pick, they drafted last year. They brought up that rookie kid. Snell's looking amazing. Not Snell, but
the only way you're going to know if he was right or I was right is to go back to previous episodes and give a listen. I'm just saying.
You do that.
Alrighty, but so this is where we are right now as far as division. Again, it's only a quarter of the way, right? So this is going to definitely change, but it's clear we can both agree. Not many outliers there so far. Things are kind of going how we expected them to go, more or less.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, hey, a quarter of the way in, Johnny, let's talk about the hitters, the pitchers, starting with the hitters, Johnny. Who are the best, in your opinion right now, best hitter in baseball?
Best hitter in baseball. It shouldn't be a surprise.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Dude, the best hitter in baseball is Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is the best hitter in baseball right now. You're not going to sit here and tell me anything else. The dude is batting .361 with 12 home runs. 361, 12 home runs. And next year, you get him back pitching. It's the Dodgers. You can say whatever you want.
Do you get him back pitching?
Yeah, he's gonna be back pitching.
No, but would you? I mean, put your hat on.
Of course. I didn't pay $700 million for the best bat in baseball. I paid $700 million for the best bat in baseball and a top 10 pitcher. So that's why you paid that money.
All right.
And Ohtani's already said that that dude's a competitor. He wants to go ahead and sit here and he's going to want to pitch 100%. Dude, I mean, the best hitters in baseball, like Juan Soto, is probably going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $450, $500 million, and his contract is coming up this next year because he's an outstanding hitter. That's what they paid Ohtani. They paid $500 million for him as a hitter, and they paid $200 million for him as a pitcher. They're going to get their pitching. They're going to get it because that's what they paid for. But Ohtani, 100%, is the best hitter. The second best hitter in baseball is Mookie Betts. This Dodgers team is ridiculous.
That's actually what I had too. I was going to say the Dodgers got the two best. Yeah,
it's just incredible. It's just ridiculous. That's why I'm like the Dodgers are going to run away with it this year. You add Freddie Freeman. You add just this amazing roster that's just doing everything I expect them to do as what they. And you can say what you want about them spending the money. Their players are performing.
No, they're performing, but and not to be funny here because everybody does know you here at Florida Man Sports as premature Johnny.
Oh yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah, they do, and you're a quarter of the way in, Johnny. So you're saying that Ohtani, you're saying the Mookie Betts, that this is going to continue. You think that they're going to be able? This is only a quarter of the way done. They're going to continue this year long. I mean, I don't know, man. People get hot, people get cold. This is baseball.
Of course, but what I'm saying is that barring any injuries, that's what I'm concerned about when baseball is injuries. Is just that, but. No, dude. The biggest concern for injuries for me with Ohtani is when he's pitching. And since he's not pitching, he's there. Dude, that dude is just focused on hitting around. When he's just focused on hitting, this is what you're getting. Listen, this is a possibility that Ohtani may do something crazy and win the Triple Crown. He may actually do something nuts because right now this dude is on fire.
Wow.
It doesn't happen very often. Obviously, Miguel Cabrera was the last guy to do it. And before that, it was in the 1970s. So that's just me just saying.
That would be an incredible feat for somebody coming out of injury like that.
Mookie Betts batting .345 with 7 home runs, so he's having an amazing season himself. That everybody will be talking about if his teammate wasn't going to have even a better one. So the Dodgers spent the money, they spent all the money, but it appears to be money well spent.
Talking about best hitters before we switch to best pitchers, Johnny. So I get it, right? The two Dodgers, I did have them on my list. Any last participation trophy for anybody else that you're thinking out there?
Well, in terms of hitters,
yeah.
I mean, Juan Soto. Juan
There you
Soto
go.
is
There you go. I just want to hear he's a Yankee.
Juan Soto is killing it right now. I think he broke the record for most walks all time at this point, surpassing even Mickey Mantle. So this dude he's a great hitter. People don't realize he has a great eye. His on base percentage is always in the top every single year, and that's what you want. Yes, you want a good lefty bat in Yankee Stadium to hit those home runs in that short porch and right, but you want high average, which Soto is coming around. He's the highest average in the Yankees Yankee team right now.
That's correct.
But that dude always gets on base, and he's a big reason why the Yankees are in first place.
Just wanted to hear you say something about the Yankees. Switching to pitching, Johnny. Who's winning the pitching battle for you right now?
The best pitcher in baseball right now is the Philadelphia Phillies, Ranger Suarez. That's the best pitcher in baseball. It's one of the reasons the Phillies are in first place at the moment. He's 8-0, a 1.37 ERA.
Yep.
He's had 59 innings pitched. The dude is just an animal. Like, nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw, but right now, at 8-0 with an ERA under 1.5, woo, that dude is the real deal. And if he keeps pitching like this, obviously the Cy Young is right there, but he can go ahead and push possibly the Braves out as a division winner. But you need more than one great pitcher. Obviously, the pitching staff, the Phillies pitching staff has really overachieved this year, but that's one thing I worry about. You talk about the hitting, and it's a long season. Pitching is what I'm always concerned myself with in baseball.
Can you consistently do it? Absolutely.
Can you do that? Dude,
100%.
We're only a quarter way through, because the pitching, anything kind of that's where UCL injuries come in, Tommy John, strained elbow, strained, rotator cuffs. So many things can happen with our pitchers, but right now, Ranger Suarez, that's the top dog in pitching right now.
Yeah, on his first All-Star appearance, if he continues this way, like you said, right? If you got to stay healthy. But what about the notables, brother? You got to have some. Who else gets a participation trophy? I know you like to hand those out.
I don't like to hand them out. I'm saying that's for me is the best pitcher right now. There's
nobody else. Come on.
No, there's
show some love. Somebody else.
There's always pitchers you can go ahead and mention, but I wanted to reference the absolute best pitcher in baseball.
I'm with you.
So there's you can always reference the Yamamoto, who the Dodgers went ahead and picked up out of Japan. That he was what did that dude get? He got the most money for just a pitcher in the history of baseball. He's never threw one single pitch.
Yeah.
The dude's 5-1, 3.67 ERA. So he's doing good. He's obviously there's pitchers in general, but to be that dominant, to sit here with a 1.37, 8-0. He's pitched almost 60 innings. So he has the work put in. So that dude, Suarez, I didn't want to go ahead and taint by adding a bunch of other
you got the right one at number one.
There, but Suarez is so dominant, you shouldn't need to mention anybody else there.
No, you called it right. What about surprises, right? A quarter of the way in, Johnny. What is your biggest surprise player or thing, right, in baseball thus far, 25% of the way in?
Well, two things in a surprise, team-wise. The biggest surprise to me is the Chicago White Sox. Chicago White Sox are 14-34. Okay, 14-34. The fewest amounts of wins by a team in the modern era since 1901 came in 1916. Philadelphia Athletics went 36-117. Chicago's projected to win 36 games. They're averaging about 6 wins per month. They could be the worst team since 1936. So I mean, I wasn't the Central was up. I have obviously the Guardians up there taking they're leading the Central, having them winning, but it's up for grabs. Not to say they were going to win it, but at least compete. And they're 14-34. The White Sox that's a big surprise for a lot of people. Player-wise, Shota Imanga, the Chicago Cubs import from Japan. What a tremendous signing. This kid, I really hope the Yankees went in and signed. I know that with Yamamoto, they weren't going to pick up because there's too much money involved, even though they were in the running for him. But this kid out in Chicago, 5-0. 0.96 ERA, 45 innings pitched. That dude is a stud, legit stud. Big surprise. He was like the 4th best player coming out of Japan. People said, yeah, he's good, but they weren't expecting. They were expecting these type of numbers for Yamamoto. They were expecting something like that. But this kid, in Wrigley Field, that iconic franchise Chicago Cubs, see here 5-0 with an less than 1 ERA. Man, that is surprising to me. I was expecting maybe pretty much Yamamoto's numbers, where it's like a 3-point something ERA, maybe a 4-point, which is still outstanding for a starting pitcher. But he has to put a little more innings in. He only's been pitched about 46 innings. He's 5-0 from it, but 0.96 ERA. Respect to you, kid. But these Japanese players are showing up this year in Major League Baseball. So it's going to be fun. Right now, obviously, we have a long season, Chris. Yeah, there's a lot going on. The Orioles are right on the heels of the Yankees. They're in 2 games back. The Yankees went on a run, won 7 in a row. They lost last night. I can't believe they lost last night. They were winning 4-1, going to the 9th inning, and they give up 4 runs in the 9th. And lose. So we ended our 7-game winning streak, but still the Yankees are still holding it down. Yankees in first place, but our Florida teams need to step up. I mean, okay, the Marlins, who we kidding? It's they traded away their best player, so they're not going to compete. I knew this coming in, they weren't going to. They confirmed it with their trade. So now it's the Rays. The Rays have been the postseason, 5 straight years. I called before, and that streak ends this particular year. They're going to hover on 500. Please, surprise me. Go ahead and prove me wrong.
You said that at the beginning of previous episodes in the past, and so you're standing by that? They're not making it?
No, I don't see them making it. They're right there. You're not going to make it with the wild card hovering around 500.
For me, the biggest surprise that I have, and I'm so happy about this, if one of our good friends who is a fan of this team is hopefully still listening at this point, Johnny, for me, did you know that the Astros have made 7 consecutive ALCS appearances, Johnny?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that streak ends this year. That is the biggest surprise for me. It was bound to happen at some point, and now it's finally here, Johnny. The Astros are 21-27. Terrible record at this point. Everybody knows it. They are underachieving, to say the least. And so for me, the biggest surprise, not surprise, because I'm happy it happened, is that now they're 21-27, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs.
No, I mean, like I said, the last baseball episode we did, we had talked about this, and I said I still have the Rangers winning the West. Battling with the Mariners. I think the Mariners are now in first place, but that's a battle. They're right there. But I called it beforehand that the Houston Cheaters are going to miss the playoffs. Forget about that run of ALCSs. They're not going to make the playoffs. Eventually, that cheating does catch up to you, and it finally has caught up to the Astros, who will miss the playoffs.
Yeah. There you go. Listen, folks, this is Florida Man Sports. We always want to say thank you so much for taking time to listen to the episodes. They're only going to get better, folks, as the NFL season, OTAs, is right around the corner. Major League Baseball is just heating up, as we just discussed. And the NBA Finals, Johnny, it's going to be a lot of fun. As always, any last words before we end this one?
No, it's been a great show. I appreciate everybody watching. Do not forget, please, the link is up again right there. Just go ahead and click on that if you want to leave a message for us to review next show.
And please don't forget that Orlando would have given the Boston Celtics a better series than the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's Johnny. I'm Christian. We out, y'all.
You could have played that when they were actually, in the playoffs.
I know.